Hey everybody, it's me, Calvin Benson. And welcome back to my big ranking of every single movie I've seen that's released in the year 2024. This is a truly massive video. So in order for this not to take a long time to be uploaded, I've split it up into parts. This is the second part, the next section, starting exactly where the first part left off. And the first part is in the description of the video if you would like to watch it. But now we're moving forward. So enough dilly-dallying, let's get right back into it. So, without further ado, here are the next tiers in the Ultimate 2024 movie ranking. Now, for 64th place, there is Kung Fu Panda 4. You know, it's been a trend in Hollywood to make a perfectly good trilogy and then later make a fourth one. And typically, they don't turn out good, which seems to be the consensus on this film. Not very good. But while the movie isn't really amazing, it's really overhated. First of all, the action is good. That's always been a big part of the series, and this film has so many big action set pieces. I'll say that the actual fights aren't that creative, somewhat lacking cool camera angles, and that kind of stuff, but it's still done well. The animation is a big reason the action works, and speaking of that, the animation is really good, especially for being made on a small budget. It's just fun to look at. Where the movie is good in the same way as the previous ones, is with the kung fu action and the overarching themes. This movie is about destiny. To choose not only who you are, but who you are remembered as. Po's entire journey is him learning how to live up to the moniker of the Dragon Warrior. It's honestly a good evolution of the series. Po is such a likable character that basically anything he does would be enjoyable, but I appreciate the deeper themes. I still like the first and third films more, and this is certainly not amazing, but it's sure better than I thought. And now, for 63rd place, I have the horror movie Tarot. A movie centered on evil tarot cards, where the main character, Haley, uses a deck and reads her friends' fortunes. The characters depicted on the cards come to life and kill whoever got dealt their card in spooky fashion. The classic idea of taking an object and making it spooky or evil. With this being tarot cards. And for being the central element of the movie just kinda doesn't understand tarot cards. I'm no expert, but I've had experience with tarot cards and know the history, and this just doesn't get it. Tarot cards aren't evil. They can't make new things out of thin air. The whole point of tarot cards is showing what is already there, rather than making something. There's already a lot of stigma on tarot cards, and this certainly doesn't help the image. As an actual movie though, it's nothing special. Nothing is done badly, the kills are good, they're creative, same with the designs of the tarot killers. These designs, these twisted, creepy characters feel straight out of scary stories to tell in the dark. The magician is definitely a standout as the best killer. Those moments with those characters are great, but otherwise, this movie just feels a bit samey to a lot of other horror movies in recent years. Even if the scares are done well, there's only so many times that you can do that before it gets old. There are cool parts, but the acting is just fine. The story is fine, it's just another horror movie. And gliding to 62nd place, there is Knuckles, the Paramount Plus spin-off of the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, centered on Knuckles. Now I know that I said no TV shows, but this is my video, so whatever. Plus, it's like I mentioned at the beginning, one continuous story, and it's also connected to a movie, being the Sonic films. And to give some background, I love the Sonic movies. The first time I got to see a movie on my own was seeing the first Sonic movie in theaters. And both the movies came at points in my life where I needed that kind of movie the most. So I have a personal connection to this series. And in 2024, they released the first spin-off of the series thus far, a TV show centering on Knuckles. Now, a big complaint many have had about the Sonic movies is the human characters and their plot lines. And this show has a whole lot of them. In fact, a fair amount of the show is about human characters, and that alone makes a lot of people dislike the whole show. And on top of that, the plot goes in directions that you would definitely not expect in a Knuckles show, so it's not surprising why it was so divisive. But for me, I ended up enjoying it. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. I like the premise of the show, with Knuckles training the next Echidna warrior, Wade Whipple, a cop from the previous movies who was a comic relief, and by the end of the show, he's the protector of the Chaos Emerald. But where it gets unique is that Wade has a passion for bowling, and there's a bowling tournament that's happening, so Wade competes in it as his way of training to be an Echidna warrior. Yeah, sometimes it gets a bit goofy for me, but I really respect that they did something unique. It wasn't just Knuckles fights CGI battle, it's about Knuckles mentoring someone to be a warrior like him, with a whole lot of weird but fun escapades. It's simply fun, and that's all I wanted. Plus, it gets bonus points for referencing E.T. Now next, buzzing into 61st place, you like that joke? It's so funny, please laugh. There is The Beekeeper, an action movie starring the action movie guy, Jason Statham, where it's about this guy, Adam Clay, a retired assassin, who has now become a beekeeper for a kind old lady who he becomes friends with. But some evil scammers scam this old lady out of all her money, causing her to unalive herself, and so Mr. Clay comes out of retirement to defeat this criminal ring that goes up to the top. Just the premise alone sounds like it would be a great action movie, and it kinda is. The action is good. Jason Statham is really entertaining, and pretty good in fight scenes. Every sequence is so quick and dynamic, taking not only skill by the actor, but by the cameraman, to create these scenes. All of those parts in the movie are really entertaining, but what keeps this movie from being something really special is it focuses too much on the action rather than the characters. It feels like they sped up all the characterizing scenes and the setup of the characters and story to just get to the action. And again, the action is good. It's always satisfying to see someone take down criminals that exist in real life, especially when Jason Statham is doing it. But it's important to give depth, to show why this guy is doing all of this for an old lady, to show us who this character is. Really, this is a good action movie, but it's not a special action movie like John Wick, because while it succeeds at doing what it's trying to do, that extra bit of depth is what keeps this from being something special. So, swimming, so funny, haha, to the big ol' 60th place, it's No Way Up. The movie that combines a plane crash with sharks, where a plane crashes into the ocean and sharks begin circling the plane, trying to get in and gobble them up, and the passengers gotta escape. I love these types of movies. Ones that take place in a small, secluded location, with a cast of characters stranded in said location, and they try to escape, and hijinks ensue. It's a good formula, and it's a good nightmare scenario, because it preys on the two of the most common fears, sharks and planes, being stranded in the dark depths, unfit for man, trapped in a vessel that could be destroyed at any moment, all while the sharks of the deep pick you off one by one. That's some good thalassophobia. But the premise is the first step. How it's translated into a real movie is another. So is it good? Well, it ain't that simple. The best and worst part about the movie taking place in the ocean is the ocean is kinda dark and empty. There's not much that you can do, especially when the characters are confined to such a small space. Now that is kind of the point, being trapped, but also they just pad out the middle chunk of the movie with pretty stupid methods of escape. For the people we follow, they're likable enough, but it does suck that pretty much all of them just die. The movie follows this group of survivors closely, and the longer someone survives, the more time you spend watching them, so it's important to make the characters that survive people you want to. So I might have switched around which characters would die and which would live. That's just me though. To sum it all up, this ain't no Jaws, but it has a great plotline, and it's executed just well enough to be fun. So, also swimming next to 59th place, there's the Blumhouse horror movie Night Swim, starring an evil pool. For a movie with an evil pool, this is much better than I thought. With the whole idea being a family moving to a new house with a pool, and as they use the pool, some spooky stuff starts a-happening. That sounds dumb and a cliche, plus it doesn't help that Blumhouse doesn't really have the best track record for January horror movies, but in the actual movie, they did not have to go this hard for a movie about a ghost pool. This isn't great or anything like that. In fact, most of the movie is mid, but what the movie does right is the actual ghost pool itself, which is the most important thing to get right in a horror movie. Just seeing this red-lit, watery emptiness, only filled by the ghosts of the pool's previous victims, it's cool. Thalassophobia is a big part in all these scenes, and it nails that vibe. The scale and depth seen in the pool, despite the pool being a regular size, just adds to the fear factor of why and how this pool is so different than how it truly is. It's not just the visuals, the audio in all the water scenes is well designed. All noises reverberate like in real water, and it elevates the scares. And I really like the lore behind the pool itself. It could have been generic, like someone did a sacrifice in the pool, or some ritual, where it was just a ghost possessing a pool, but no, it's actually kinda creative. Those are really all the positives. The characters and scenes outside of the stuff with the pool, I don't really care for. This movie is for the ghost pool, not the family drama. It does feel out of place. But what makes this movie good is the atmosphere, is the world building, is the scares, but in the process of trying to make the movie more than what it is, they lessen it. But still, it's a pretty fun watch. And for 58th place, and I know this is a TV movie, but a movie nonetheless, South Park: The End of Obesity. The next South Park TV movie, this time centered on obesity, and the many debates and culture around it, where Cartman has to lose weight and gets wrapped up in the healthcare insanity of trying to get weight loss meds. It is crazy how Matt Stone and Trey Parker, despite being in a completely different landscape of the world, find a way to perfectly parody everything in modern day. They just adapt to the times. They find a way to poke and pick apart all the wacky shit that happens in modern culture, even today. And honestly, that's important. Comedy is a great way to face heated issues head on, and really examine them, which is exactly what this special does, actually covering and diving into the many points behind obesity and how it should be handled in the modern day, just under the guise of fat jokes. That's why South Park is great, and that's why this special is great. Nothing more to say. And in 57th place, there's a movie that should barely count, but I digress. The Sabrina Carpenter Netflix Christmas special, A Nonsense Christmas. To be honest, I'm not a music person. Music can be good, but it's just too focused on being catchy rather than lyrically interesting. And I'm especially not exactly a big fan of modern big pop stars, such as the one who shall not be named. But Sabrina Carpenter is an exception, and I think that's mostly due to her personality. She's a good comedian, and it makes sense. She was a Disney kid, in a ton of comedy shows, so she knows how to do comedy well, which is a highlight of this. And that's where this Sabrina Carpenter holiday special is best. The comedy that revolves around her personality. It wouldn't work without Sabrina. But that's just half the special. What about the music? Well, the actual music aspect of the special is really good. It comprises of mostly covers of big famous Christmas songs, staying true to the song itself, but adding a different spin on it. And I like most of all the ones they do throughout the special. Most. So it really checks all the boxes. Good music, funny, interesting personalities to follow. Just a fun Christmas special. Not much more to say. And next up, in 56th place, I have Beverly Hills Cop Axel F., the latest film in the Beverly Hills Cop series. These movies are known for just being good, simple action movies, and this film is exactly that. A fun, wild ride. All made so much better because of Eddie Murphy. There's a reason he's one of the most popular comedians in Hollywood. He's naturally charismatic and just funny. Axel is the reason anyone watches this. He's just such a charming person to root for, to see take down crime, in the goofiest way. Eddie Murphy is just as good, if not better in this movie, than he was in most of his previous movies. Which is insane, cause this dude is 63 years old. What kind of wizardry is this dude doing to look like this at 63? Him and Hugh Grant are the same age. How in the world? He's still funny as hell, he's still just a charming actor. As for the character Axel, he's great. Even though he's much older, he still is the same person, still a cop who does shit his own way. Even if it stretches realism that he could basically destroy a city and be scot-free. But that's the character. Outside of the lead and more in the movie itself, it's exactly what everyone wanted it to be. Non-stop, cool, fast action scenes, with Axel doing a comical amount of property damage, all with a cool synth tune. But more than that, there's some good modern elements. Like they do kinda address how cops aren't exactly a shining beacon of hope in America anymore, like how they're comically corrupt in modern day. There's new additions that only add to the film, but still make it a fun action spectacle. Really, there just isn't anything bad in the movie. It's all great. This is really just a perfect action movie. Knows what it is, and that's exactly what it's supposed to be, and I'm happy with that. And next, riding on in for 55th place, I have a movie called Last Stop in Yuma County. A movie with a simple premise. Some bank robbers are making off with their money, but they run out of gas and need to make a pit stop at a gas station/diner. But they have to wait in the diner because the gas truck isn't there yet, and when the waitress begins to catch on to them, they hold her and the other patrons hostage, waiting until the gas truck arrives. And if you've seen the trailers, you have a pretty good idea of what kind of movie this is. A suspense crime thriller set in a secluded location. Movies where it's literally all in one location are hard to do right. Because the one and only focus of that kind of film is on the characters. The characters are the core. If they suck, the whole movie falls apart. So it's important to have the characters be interesting and fun to follow. And this film's good at doing that. Each person is fun and interesting in every scene they're in, even the robbers. And there's a layer of complexity and personality to these otherwise throwaway background characters that make them likable and fun to watch them go about the day and how they all interact with each other. Especially in this situation, where everyone has to act cool and not raise suspicion or they could get killed. The film is great, up until the ending. They throw a curveball and kill every character but one. And the last 20 minutes is this one surviving dude trying to steal the money and escape. It feels out of nowhere, and they just kill off everyone, from the villains to the main protagonists, and it feels weirdly anticlimactic. By the end of the movie, I do get why the movie went in that direction. The message was how anyone can be overcome by greed and lust for money, even in situations that go against someone's moral compass. But I personally just wasn't a fan of how they ended it. But I still really enjoyed the movie overall. Sure, it may not have a ton of depth, but it tells an interesting and captivating story all in one place, and they did it right. These kinds of movies are always a banger. And with that, that's gonna be the end of this section of the ranking. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I also hope you'll stick around for the next parts. And trust me, it's gonna get a lot more interesting as to what films show up how high on the list. So hopefully I'll see you later, but at least for this video, I'm Calvin Minson, and thank you for watching.